Are we live? Oh, okay, it's working. It's working. Okay, so why is it so dark again? Um, Nope, wrong setting. That one. Actually, let's just do that, and there we go. So, yeah, the plan for today is to basically bench some Unigine Heaven on this here. So, and mostly I'll be doing RAM overclocking and CPU overclocking because Unigine Heaven, even with just a 7990, is really, really badly CPU bottlenecked. So, yeah. Adventures of the webcam. Why is the cable stuck here? Ugh. There we go. So that's the system. So first of all, the 7990. This is a reference PCB. But I've swapped out the cooler because one of the fans on the stock cooler went bad, so these are just held in place with zip ties. These are Cooler Master Air Maker, stupid name, but the pressure optimized ones. These go at 2.8K RPM, so these are pretty loud. They're still not louder than the coil whine the VRM of this card puts out, so, that. Then the memory I'm going to be using is the Team Group T-Force Extreme again, because it's the best RAM I have. Then the card did get some extra modifications, so there's this capacitor bank. So basically I've added, there's 8 extra capacitors for each of the V-Core VRMs, because basically the V-Core VRM for both of the cores only has multi-layer ceramic capacitors on by design. So I attached these. I think it clocks higher. I never actually tested what the max clock was on stock VRM configuration, so I have no idea how much that helped. These wires here are basically to try reduce the voltage drop that the card incurs across the power plane, because basically with how cramped the PCB is, this thing has a ton of voltage drop. It drops like 70 millivolts going from the VRM. Well, the output of the VRM is right sort of here. By the time it gets over here, you're losing 70 millivolts across that distance. So there's a huge amount of voltage loss, power loss going on. And so I figured I'd attach some extra wires. And this does actually reduce the amount of voltage drop this gets. But the minor issue with the great idea was that it's dark as hell again. So let me just move this there. Up. But the issue is the voltage regulator, the LLC, is set up so that it basically, so there's less voltage drop, but I'm not getting extra voltage at the core because it just lowers the voltage anyway. So yeah, and the motherboard is, of course, the Maximus 9 Apex because, I don't really have another motherboard that's good at memory overclocking. So yeah, that's the setup for today. The AIO is an Arctic Freezer 240 millimeter, but the fans on it are 1,900 RPM Cooler Master sickle flows. Those are just running off of straight 12 volts. So, yeah, let's get this thing fired up. And unfortunately, because we are doing RAM overclocking, I'm going to have you just seeing the postcode mostly for most of the stream, because this thing, we're doing RAM overclocking. So, yeah. It's bad. You need the postcode to really get anything done. So first things first, I've already wiped the BIOS. So we're going to be doing a lot of sort of basic setup, and then hopefully I'd like to be able to bench at 4400 megahertz, but it's either me or the CPU, because for some reason once I go past 4200 megahertz on the memory, it just doesn't work. The core clock I'm aiming for is 5. I'd really like to be able to do 5.3 gigahertz, but this CPU is just not capable of that. Even with a D-lid and cryonaut under the IHS, it's just not going to do that, so yeah. Actually, at this point, I'll just throw you on this one so you can actually see what I'm doing in the BIOS. So, first things first. Putting this in manual mode. 100 megahertz disable. AVX instruction, we're not going to bother with that. Sync all cores, 50. That's a good starting point for a 7700K. Then, okay, 1 core DRAM. I'm gonna start it off on XMP. So actually I should put this in XMP mode. Oh no, I told it, no, there. Okay, 50, 37, 33. I'm just gonna leave that all auto for now. CPU SVID disable. CPU, that's disabled already. Timings, I don't need to do anything here yet. External digi. Yeah, I'll just have that on level 4. Max out the VRM current capability, manual, 800, CPU power duty control. So I'm basically just setting this up. Wait, power phase response ultra fast, yeah. Basically I'm just setting this up off memory, and this right here kills VRM efficiency. If you want high efficiency, you would set, oh, they don't actually let you go that low. They let 400. Don't let you go that low either. 500, okay. It's interesting, I thought they'd let you go lower. How high does this go? That's a really limited range you got. Oh well. So that's actually maxed out at this point. But yeah, basically that just gets you better voltage regulation from the VRM at the cost of efficiency. Max out current capability for that. Extreme, switching frequency manual. I think that goes to 500. It does indeed. CPU core. We're not going to touch these. These are boot up voltages. Very useful for liquid nitrogen. Not worth bothering with right now. Don't need to go there yet. Power management. Need that in 8. Speed step disable. Long duration 4960. Actually, I can just do this, can't I? I love ASUS boards. There. And don't touch these two. Don't need to worry about those. Tweaker's Paradise. Basically, the only reason why you'll ever go here is the DRAM VTT voltage, which, depending on what you're doing, you'll need or won't need. Cache ratio 40 minimum. 48. Wait. Limit max. Current. Oh, that's current. 255. There. And that's a bit low. And CPU manual mode 1.4. VCCIO 1.2, 1.25. Termination, don't need to worry about that. CPU DRAM ref, don't need to worry about that either. Advanced CPU configuration. Don't need that. Don't need that either. Disable all of those. And at this point, it should be ready to go. So we'll do a baseline Unigine Heaven run with these settings. I'll also throw Cinebench at it just to show you the thermals that it's getting with the D-Lid and the AIO. Twitch has some really weird color compression. It's really, really dark on the Twitch stream, whereas it's like pretty light on my end. Oh well. Yeah, the DRAM VTT setting being buried in a menu, I'm not a fan of that on this motherboard. It's like, I have no idea why they stuck it in that menu, but it's like, if you're just a regular person, you really don't need to know that that option really even exists. Though on past ASUS motherboards, it was available like in the main menu itself, so I don't know why they moved it. Okay, let's just run Cinebench, which is where? There it is. Hardware info 64. Now, hardware info takes forever to run because this GPU has too many sensors. Also, there's some sensors on the motherboard which make it really unhappy. So, we're gonna have to wait for this a bit. I might try to do some BIOS modding today, but I've been having issues with, what the hell? Wait a minute. I missed one of the power savings, didn't I? Damn it. Oh well, I'll go take care of that. But yeah, temperatures are fine and we're running a lot of voltage. This chip can actually do 5 gigahertz at like 1.25 volts, at least for Cinebench. It's not fully stable, but it will pass Cinebench on 1.25, so... yeah. Okay. You know, don't really care. I'm gonna go back and find that missing power, that extra power saving settings. Because that's annoying. I want the CPU to be like... it's just better. Your performance is more consistent if the CPU just sits at max power all the time. So I'm going to go take care of that. The thing about ASUS boards is I'm not sure how, like it changes, I think it might change from BIOS to BIOS, but at least on X79 and X99, if you disable turbo, it doesn't let you overclock. Also, this motherboard is weird about booting up every so often. So the boot looping, it's not crashing, that's just normal. It gets worse once we really crank up the memory settings. So then it's going to take, like, if we try to run 1T command rate, it's going to post for like a month. All the capacitors, actually what the spec on them, or like just what they're for, because they're basically the stock VRM on this card is a 4-phase, and there's no proper bulk capacitance due to the space constraints of the PCB, so I basically added a ton of extra capacitance. Theoretically, that should help with transitioning from, well, basically, big current swings should be eaten up by that capacitor bank. But short, like, very small voltage fluctuations and that kind of thing, it doesn't really do anything for that, because these are too big. Too slow, cylindrical polymers. If I had SMD polymers, they'd actually be better. But I did this card before I did all of my recent capacitor testing, so... yeah, okay, let's see what happens if I disable turbo. I suspect it's not going to do 5 gigahertz if I do that. We're just going to go into the BIOS to check. I have a profile saved on the board which does actually run just 5 gigahertz constant, except I decided that, you know, today I want to do everything from 0, and I've managed to forget which settings I'm missing. That's fine. I actually kind of suspect that the whole boot looping thing is related to the high VCCSA and VCCIO voltages at this point. Well, high. Moderate VCCIO and VCCSA voltages. Okay, we're back in. Yeah, now it's... okay, let's go into Windows, because it's 4.2 in the BIOS still. I think it's going to be just stuck at 4.2 at this point. Because if I remember, on like Gigabyte motherboards, I think you disable turbo. On ASUS motherboards, you need to keep turbo enabled. Something like that. So, it's a pain. I don't know why they do it that way. Let's just use CPU-Z to check. It is so hot today, and it's going to get so much... yeah, yeah. I need to re-enable turbo and figure out what the hell is with the power savings. And it's going to get hotter, because this card right here, the HD7990, this thing burns about just on the 8 pins alone, it'll pull sort of 450 watts. So, yeah, this thing is a flamethrower. That's what I actually, like... yeah. It's actually not that bad compared to, like, say, the Fury X's, which I've had all the way at 450 watts on the 8 pins. And this is a dual GPU card, but this has, if like I really want, like it's kind of cooling limited right now, the card is. Theoretically, if there was no cooling issues, I could probably shove 600 watts through the damn thing. At that point, I'd also be concerned about melting the power cables, so I'd probably have to add an extra power connector, but yeah. Internal, so this needs to be on. So, what did I miss? I killed C states. I killed speed step. I remember something called EIST, Enhanced Intel something. Except I can't remember where that would be on this board, or if this board even has that. Those are disabled. SVID is disabled. I have no idea. Oh, whatever, we'll just run with it like this. It's not going to affect performance that much. So I think at this point we'll just get a baseline score for the GPU. Well, since I killed speed step, I guess enhanced speed step would be also killed. I don't know why like the overclocking motherboards don't just have like an option for static core clock mode. Just one setting and it deals with all of the power savings for you. That'd be cool. Because it's like you can already disable all of that by going through all the menus and finding the settings, but there could be just like a button. You press enter on it once and it wipes out all the settings for you. Anyway, let's get, oops, nope, I want the that. And we need to disable tessellation because that's the right way to run AMD GPUs. Crossfire is on. Disable frame pacing because that makes it slower. Override application settings. Disable. Keep that on. Wait for always off. Surface format, yes. Texture filtering performance. Cool. We're not going to actually use overdrive because overdrive on these cards doesn't do anything. So at that point, I think if Crossfire is enabled, which, let's see, GPU Z. Yeah, so we are enabled. And, right, we actually need to get Sapphire Trix 491, Ultra Edition. So this is a modified version of Trix I have. And I think the difference between the Ultra Edition and the normal version is, yeah, this goes to 1.3, this goes to 1.4. This would probably lightly... 1.4 would probably cook the VRM on this card, so I'm not actually going to run that. We need to disable ultra low power state, otherwise overclocking doesn't work. Okay, I think at this point it'll apply. Okay, we need to restart. For ultra low power state to be disabled, I need to restart the card. So yeah. So somebody asked if Crossfire is always enabled on dual GPU cards. No, you can still disable it. And cool thing is you can actually like get a 7970 and Crossfire it with a 7990. So, yeah. You can do things like that. What the hell? Why is it hanging? Okay, now it's working. 99. 92. Why is it being so slow right now? I posted. That's odd. That's really odd. Oh well. Oops. Okay, Windows finally made it, and I retried it. So there's a retry button on the motherboard, which is really cool. We'll use that a lot once I really start hammering the memory. But right now, yeah, that was way too early. It's just, I don't like it when it posts forever. 99, 3-second post delay. But yeah, now it's going faster. No idea why. Unfortunately, with the BIOS modding of this card on Windows 10 is I think there's like a driver signature check on the BIOS and it just doesn't work. Because I do have a modified BIOS on the card on the Switch. Because this card being a high-end AMD card, I love AMD for doing that. It's like all their high-end cards have BIOS switches. Which is really, really cool. Where'd my mouse go? Mouse? Okay, so the keyboard works. Why doesn't the mouse? Oh. Still no mouse. Oh, there's the mouse. Okay, so now let's get tricks open. And we can actually overclock now. So this card, off the top of my head, what's on the sticker? 1150, 1700, 1.25. Max out the power limit. Otherwise, this card has so much throttling. The power limit on this thing is super low out of the box. It's like 350 watt power limit because, you know, 2 8-pins and PCIe slot. Or actually, no, that's 375 watt power limit. Yeah, so stock power limit is like 350 or something. It throttles like hell. So we're not going to be running that. And that should run through heaven. And yeah. Can't use fan control on a card with no fans. Okay, so yeah, it's set up. Let's run heaven. So since this takes 4 minutes and I don't really have anything to do, questions, fire away. Oh man, the coil whine. I'll actually give you a taster of that. Hear that buzzing? That's the coil whine this card puts out. It's really bad. And I'm 99% sure it's because AMD, this is one of the last cards that AMD produced with Volterra based VRMs, and Volterra just loves coupled inductors, which, like, I know why they exist, because they save space on the PCB, they can handle, so you get more current throughput for a given amount of PCB, they're more efficient than separate inductors. The problem is, if you have a coupled inductor, right, it will, if you have current changes going through that inductor, you have these massive cores that vibrate a lot more than if you just have individual choke cores. So this thing puts out the most coil whine I've ever heard. This is by far the worst card. Oh, and it follows the frame rate extremely well. Like, the frame rate goes up and down by 10 FPS, and you can pretty much hear the change in the tone of the of the coil line. So you could arguably make music with this card because it's that bad as far as the coil line is concerned. So yeah. Somebody asked, yeah, no tessellation because this is HWBot rules. If you were on an NVIDIA card, you would set your LOD to like over 9,000 and there'd be no color, no textures. On the AMD side, we don't have LOD, we have tessellation, so we disable tessellation and that's what we do. Yeah. Wait. This is what it sounds like. Well, other than the rushing air. Like, it changes tone so much. It's really annoying. I mean, it is exaggerated by the fact that it's on an open air test bench, but still, it's bad. It is really bad. It's louder than the fans, and the fans are 2,800 RPM, so it's, yeah. That's why it's like, thank God that they stopped using coupled inductors, because these things, it's like, for all of the, nice improvements to power efficiency they give you, they are just not worth the noise. With the power limit on, there's less coil line because the card won't use so much power, and so there's less current going through it, and the magnetic field doesn't jerk the inductors around so much, but oh my God, this card. That's the only other major issue I have with it. My selection of capacitors is less than ideal on this card because, well, I didn't know at the time because I hadn't tested any other capacitors, and this coil line is hell. I actually tried to, like, dampen it with, like, cramming Plastidip into the chokes, and it just doesn't work. It's like the whole PCB is basically a speaker at this point. So, yeah. Actually, I wonder how much power it's pulling right now. Right now, we are pulling, holy hell, 630 watts at the wall for the whole system. Whole system power draw is 636 right now. This is a flamethrower. Doing this in like summer, this would have been like a perfect stream for like the middle of winter. Open the window, get in a jacket, put the system right on the windowsill and run it there. Because this thing burns so much power. So much freaking power into this card goes. But still, it's actually like, it clocks really good. For 3D Mark Firestrike, I can run this card at like 1220 core. Which is crazy high by Tahiti core standards. There we go, so we've just finished the benchmark. Oh my God, I love this card. I love this card. Oh man, it spat out 5.9K right off the bat. Oh, this is gonna be so easy. This is gonna be really, really easy. The current Unigine Heaven record for the 7990 is this. Dropped it on the chat right there. The current record is 5.7K, and this thing spits out 5.9 without me even so much as lifting a finger. I mean, ignoring the fact that, the fans are swapped, the card like, when I got the card, it was relatively dirty. I think it was in a mining system, because it wasn't as bad as, like, gamer cards I've gotten. Like, gamer cards are just awful. Really, really bad. There's barely any air, like, they're basically a dust cake. This wasn't too bad, but I still cleaned out the card completely, replaced all the thermal pads, added the capacitors, swapped the fans. But, yeah, still, not that much work in my opinion. But yeah, 5.9K right off the bat. This card, I'm so, like, this card. That's the one. It's like, I'll put up for the coil, with the coil line just because it spits out good scores. So yeah, am I actually on the most recent version of CPU-Z? I really hope that, like... Oh, I know I'm on an old version of GPU-Z, so I might have to download that. This is so annoying. I know I have screenshots of this system doing 5.9K with the freaking CPU clock locked in at 5 GHz, so I've done it somehow. I might just load up one of my profiles. because this is, like, I just find it annoying. Because right now it's like I don't even care for power efficiency. It's not a daily system, it's just burn the house down. I hope they're okay. I need to check the rules if I can use the current version. I don't think they'll complain about the GPU-Z version. Though this is 117. What's the current latest version? Should download that. Okay, make screenshot, save result. 7990, Heaven 1. Save. Okay, so we could clock the GPU up at this point, because I think this thing peaks at like 1280 from my 3D Mark testing, so I want to run 1200, and I think this card can run 1200. Let's go for that. And the cool thing about 7990s is if you actually look at the BIOS, I have a post on the AHOC blog about that. The BIOS on these things has memory timings for 1500, 1625, 1750, and 1800. So there's like different memory timing straps for basically every 125 megahertz. So you can clock the memory really high on these cards. So let's sort of go for a more safe run like that initially and see what it scores there. And then we'll see if it can run 1200. I really want to do 1200 with this card because 1200 is like, even like a single non-dual GPU 7970 has a hard time hitting 1200. Also, the crazy thing is with all the voltage drop that this VRM has, the cores right now are only on about 1.2 volts for this frequency, so this thing is so much better than any 797. Well, I tested one 7970 and this thing blows it out of the water. So I really like this card. Even with all the coil whine. And that crashed. Which, you know, that's not that surprising because this thing does have a cooling problem. That's the main issue with it. And it's not going to deal with itself, so reset. Base, nope. Software GPU-Z. Latest version is 2.0. Okay, I guess I'll download that. Okay, so since it's evidently going to break 6K really quick, I guess we'll aim for like 6.2K or something. And I'll actually clock up the CPU at this point, and I'll load up a profile, because I have no idea why it's not running straight, so. Profile 2, because that is yes. And now if I press F10, XMP manual, multi-core enhancement disabled, wait, auto, DRAM frequency, auto. I'm trying to figure out what it is that this does that using the mouse in the BIOS is a dumb decision. CAS, okay, fast boot, disabled, wait for F1. Ooh, I missed those. Load from profile. That's interesting. Did drop my VRM frequency, so I'll go fix that. I wonder if it might not be that multi-core enhancement setting. Odd. Whatever. 800. I do have a fan sitting on the VRM, so it's not like I care about its efficiency. And let's crank it up. 1.43, 1.6, 2.5, 1.3, and DRAM frequency. That won't work. So this is funny This ratio is available in the BIOS. It's not bootable. You can't boot that ratio at all. I don't know why it's there. There's no CPU I'm aware of that it works on, so yeah. 18, 19. Actually, I want to see how far I can push it with like relatively lax timings. 480, 65,000. And yeah, let's go for this. 51 and 102. That'll give us 5.2 with, yeah, it won't run 5.3, I already know that. 4200 megahertz memory at relatively loose timings. Let's see if that posts. It should. Yeah, okay, that's going to post. So the thing about high memory settings is if after pressing apply, it'll basically run up to the 60 code, and if it doesn't run up to the 60 code and freezes before that, your settings are just so bad that you should give up. That's so far been my experience with the board. So it hits 60, then it reboots. As long as it's hitting 60, it's like okay. If it freezes on a code, then I have a problem. The worst one is 55. If it throws a 55, then it's the memory controller of the CPU can't deal with the speed, and there's not really much I can do about it. If it throws a 49, retry. If it gets stuck on like 96, B2, 78, basically once the LEDs right here, the green and white LEDs start lighting up, then if it crashes, if it doesn't get past that, you can retry it, and it generally works. But otherwise, you just sort of, yeah. I wonder if now it'll be at 5 gigahertz constant. Because I do know that I've had it. To hell with you. I did mention that we might do some SuperPi 32 million, didn't I? Let's see. No, it's still not 5G constant. Oh well. But we are at 4200, 1932. I actually wonder how fast this will be on SuperPi, because my current SuperPi 32 million record is just terrible because it was done on X99 with like really bad memory settings. So, and I just ran that wrong. Give me a second. Performance, new, I need details. SuperPi, set priority, real time. Set affinity, 1 core, and you should really disable hyperthreading for SuperPi because hyperthreading puts more strain on the memory controller and it lowers your SuperPi speed, but yeah. This should run better. Okay, and now we wait for 6 minutes because that's probably how long it's going to take. I'm gonna go check. What? No, don't fix it. This is still gonna be like really slow. It's just my old record is just so bad that I want to get rid of it. Let's see. SuperPi, 32 million. Yeah, my current record is 6 minutes, 18 seconds. That's so awful. At like almost 5 gigahertz on a 5960X, so yeah, this should blow it away. I should try to just break the 6-minute barrier as well. Like get under 6 minutes, because quite frankly, 6 minutes is just so bad. I'll try load up the Dankop memory profile later. And we'll see if we can run that. Well, actually, no, I can't. Well, Dankop memory profile, and I'll loosen it out a bit because that one's, like, it's so... The Dankop memory profile that is on this motherboard for 4133 is so aggressive that it's like... The memory can boot it, but the number of times it boots and actually successfully runs is really, really bad. So, yeah. And just taking care of GPU-Z installs, so there. And M-Power for a 82% ASIC GTR. No. My best GTR was like 73%. My GTR was like 73% ASIC, so I really don't care about iASIC. And the other thing is I'm currently trying to save up for Threadripper, so GPUs really aren't, like, more GPUs is not something I'm looking for. I already have like a stockpile of those, so yeah. Vaseline for insulation. I don't use Vaseline at all. Like, I've never used Vaseline. I think it's a horrific mess. I don't want to... I'm not going to use it, so... That's up to you. Red sleeved cables to get the... Oh, right, the Fire Strike. No, for Unigine Heaven, because Unigine Heaven is a nice, peaceful blue and green benchmark. You would want, like, green or blue cables. So, yeah. SuperPi 32 million is the worst benchmark ever. It is so boring. Also, you really shouldn't be ever running SuperPi 32 million on Windows 10. You should run it on Windows XP. But just no. It's just too much work for me to care. See, the thing about SuperPi as a benchmark is it's by far the best, like, single-threaded and memory, well, one of the best single-threaded and memory performance tests. Somebody asked about R9 290X Matrix Platinum PCB. I have that card on my list of cards to do for a PCB breakdown. So if you want to see that one, it will happen. It's just, it's on, like, you know. It'll happen one day. I don't really not really good at planning when I will do things. I think this should break the 6-minute barrier. It's at 5.2 gigahertz. It's got to do it. Also, we should maximum this so that I can run, like, really aggressive memory settings. Yeah, it's taking about 20 seconds per loop at this point, isn't it? Ish, yeah. It's actually less than 20 seconds, so... Yeah, this should break 6 minutes. Finally. Finally breaking the 6 minutes barrier. Which is really, like... People have, like... On Haswell, they were doing, you know... People were doing under 6 minutes. So my SuperPi just sucks. Oh man, it's actually not going to break the 6 minutes barrier at all. Oh, come on. That sucks. That really, really sucks. Oh well, I'll crank it up to 5.3 and more VCore. 606. That is just bad. I'm not saving that. Anyway, let's do Heaven again. Where's Tricks? There's Tricks. Try more voltage this time. For 1170. So 1170 crashed. And I know it's probably because the card overheated, but... And I'll try 1700 memory, just to make sure that it wasn't the 1800 memory crashing it. There, apply. Max that. Heaven. Run. Extreme. Do you have a Keep Calm and Raise V-Core shirt? Yep. Of course I have one. It's just, I haven't... Yeah, I don't think it's been... I still need to wash it. That's why I'm not wearing it right now. Oh my god, the coil whine is so bad. The problem with this card is even with the plus 20% power limit, this thing just power throttles so bad. And right now it's pulling 600, yeah, it's still pulling about 600 watts from the wall. So it's not pulling a lot more. I also need to test if I need hyperthreading for Unigine, because I don't think you need it. And if you don't need it, that's great, because that means the CPU, like, Intel CPU, like, disabling hyperthreading, you clock higher and you get slightly better memory performance. I wonder if I should check what other people are running for Unigine. But I think you can get away without it. Either way, it's best to test. Those are CPU benchmarks. Good job, me. Okay, so more voltage did fix it. I actually wonder what it's getting at the core, because I know this card drops so hard. Where's the multimeter? Will I be able to position this so that you can read it? Voltage? Okay, well... there's no space on the system to do that. Wait. Point this down. There. Is that legible? Not really, is it? There, that seems kind of legible. I need it tilt. Oh, random objects. Is it... the lighting in this place is really bad. Oh well. There, that is legible. Okay, so let's get ground hooked up and check what the core voltage is, because I know it's going to be just terrible. This card drops so much. There. That's not the best place to pull ground, but for right now... Yeah, we're getting 1.26 volts on the back of the core. So it's dropping 40 millivolts against the settings in the BIOS that I have on the... Actually, let's check what we get out of the on the capacitor banks, because... There. And I need that leg. 1.26. That's not actually dropping that much. 1. Oh, there. Now we go. 1.2223. And here on the leg of that cap, we're getting 1.25. If we go to the capacitor all the way on the other end, 1.27. Yeah, so even across the capacitor bank itself, you have like 20 millivolts of voltage difference. So, yeah, there's not enough copper in this PCB for the power it's trying to push. It's dropping so much. But, oh well, that's the limitations of making dual GPU cards. That's what makes them so crazy. Like, there's literally not enough PCB to even power the damn things. There we go. That's the test over. Finally, free from the coil whine. 6K, 57. Okay, we need to do like 6.2K. We need to break 6.2K. But yeah, the card, here's the thing about like every AMD GPU ever. Yeah, 78C coming out of the benchmark. This thing was hitting over 80. AMD GPUs really, really like being cold. So it's like the difference between 85 and like 55 degrees load is like 10, 20 megahertz extra. And if you have that kind of temperature difference, the cards actually tolerate more voltage. So you can, like, yeah. It'd be really good for, if I could drop the low temperature on this card, that would be really, really helpful. But I've basically, the thing about this card is I kind of suspect that I can get 2 full-size LN2 pots on this. And so I can't be really bothered with, like, putting water cooling on it, because it's just, like, if I ever put this card on dry ice or something, it's just such a completely, like, it's a half measure as far as I'm concerned to put this card on water cooling, because it's already the fastest 7990 out there. It's like, so it's gonna be, so it's like the next step for this card in my book is like just liquid nitrogen or dry ice. It's not gonna get water. The problem with running dry ice on it is I need another like another LN2 pot for GPUs, because I currently only have the Raptor 4 and I need a second pot for the second core. And that's probably going to be the Kingpin GPU pot, just because that one's a lot cheaper than buying another Raptor. Assuming you can even buy a Raptor, because as far as I'm aware, there's a shortage of those. Which, yeah, there's like 20 people who want them, and there's only been like 10 made or something. So, yeah, let's save this score. I need to get the flash stick back in the system. There's a problem. No, there isn't. So I'll just install the new GPU-Z first, and then we'll save the score. So nice not having to bench liquid nitrogen, because it's like I don't have any concerns about this crashing right now. The card is idle, the CPU is idle, everything is idling. I don't have to worry about things. Where's my utilities folder? Oh, I'm in it. Damn, I'm dense. It's like, where's the utilities folder? Oh, you're in it. Great. Okay. So there we go. 1170. Wait, what's in the advanced power limit? Board. That's wrong. And let's get CPU-Z opened up. And make screenshot, save result, and HD 7990. Wait. The hell? Wait, where did the other 79? Oh, it's just 7990. There. Heaven 2. Save. Smoked? As not at all? Unless you mean killed stuff. In which case, again, not much. Okay. Well, the next step up from here is more core clock or more memory clock. I'm going to go memory clock first because I think that has a higher limit. Just because there are the different timing steppings for that. And then let's run again. It'd be so nice if it was cooler. I should have done this stream at like 5 in the morning. Whoops. That would be like the optimal time to run benchmarks because it would be, it's like right as the sun comes up is the coldest time of day. And it's really, really hot today. And I'm complaining about really, really hot, but I remember in the Czech Republic it would hit like 35 degrees in the summer. And here it's like 28 and I'm already complaining it's really, really hot. I basically have like one temperature, like from 26 degrees up, it's really, really hot. 40 is really, really hot. 35 is still really, really hot. 28, really, really hot. And this card isn't making anything better. This Jeep, yeah, 685 watts at the wall right now. So, I'm really not helping my ambient temperature. I'm not streaming till 5 a.m. No way. Is it? I actually don't know what temperature it is. I'm assuming it's 28, but it might not be. It might be colder than that. Let's see. Temperature. Oh, it's apparently 21 degrees outside. It's like Why? I need my. I'll just grab a thermometer because I think my room temperature is like. Because the problem is the sun sets on my living room, and there's like I have massive windows, so basically this room becomes a greenhouse for half the day, and yeah. So even if it might be 21 outside, it's certainly not in here. Let's see. It is right now. Wait, 30? You've got to be kidding me. There's no way it's 30 in here. Yeah, apparently it's 30 in here. The heating is turned off completely, so I wonder what the exhaust on this card is like. 45, 50, 55. Whoa. Yeah, it's spitting out 60. Okay, well, I'm touching the heatsink, but... Okay, so about... Well, it's spitting out hot air. That's for sure. Actually, this sort of middle area is the worst. Yeah, it's like 45 degree air coming out of the card. More, way more. Yeah, it's like 50. 50 coming off of the card. Nice. This is like the worst thing to bench today. Literally the worst idea. It's like the room is already at 30 and I decide to bench a GPU. We're starting to see some artifacting. I should do a run with GPU-Z open to see what maximum temperature the GPU hits. Because I think like the artifacting starts showing up as the GPU gets hotter as well, so we might not be able to raise core voltage any higher without if we raise core voltage more, the temperature increase will be so bad that it'll still crash. 6.1K. This thing is just a monster, absolute monster. This card is. I think we need to wait, I do believe my Unigine Heaven, this is not far from blowing away my Unigine Heaven record. Well, okay, no, it is far away, because if I remember correctly, my Heaven record is, yeah, 7.7K on 2 Fury X's. Oh man, if I put 3 Fury X's on this, we might hit, well, 3 Furies on this, we might hit 8K. Because I did 7.6K on a 5960X, and that CPU just sucks for Unigine Heaven because it doesn't clock high. And it's low, it's a Haswell E processor, so the IPC is also worse than Kaby Lake, so... Yeah, okay, so since this is going so well, once I feel like we've maxed out the 7990, we're swapping to the 3 of the Fiji cards I have lying around. Which actually, that's 2 Furies and 1 Fury X, not 3 Fury, yeah, okay, well, whatever. But yeah, we gotta do that, because this might break 8K. Just as it is. Which would be really cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay. I'm really, really tempted to get like another 7990 and like do that card up with like everything I don't like about this card fixed. So like better capacitors and all that. Which that's really the only complaint I have for this card is the capacitors. I really don't. I'm not happy with the ones currently on there are 1,500 microfarad, 2.5 volt Nichicon FP capacitors. They're polymers, and they really, really suck compared to some much, much, much more expensive, much, much smaller capacitance SMD polymers I tested. So, yeah, I've opened my windows. It's just like, no, they don't open that much. There's no wind. So, yeah. Okay, so CPU Z. Yeah, get a big fan idea. I've had that. I need to get one. I don't think I have that many spare case fans, and that's a pain to set up. Anyway, let's save this. Make screenshot. Save result. 7990. Heaven 3. This thing is so fast. We need to try with more CPU speed. It really needs more CPU power, so I'll just save this profile. Because this is like a massive CPU bottleneck at this point, this benchmark is, so... the post-process for this board. Very, very pleasant. Well, also, I'll try tighten up the memory timings as well. Which will need maxmem for that. Oh well, we can just use safe boot. I don't have that many dead GPUs. It's like I've killed what? A reference 480, a GTR, the little Gigabyte one, and a Fury X. That's all the cards I've killed. And the Fury X, the dead Fury X's cooler is now on a Fury, so yeah, it's not like I can move that. I'm pretty sure the memory won't work if I try to go higher on that, so we're not going to do that. Actually, I first need to test the hyper-threading things, so... advanced CPU configuration, hyper-threading, disabled! That is really odd. Anyway, let's see if this scores worse. If it does score worse, then that means I need hyper-threading on. If it doesn't score worse, well, that means we can run without hyper-threading, and I can crank it. I can probably push like 5 point... I'd really like to do 5.4. There are 7700Ks out there which will do 5.4 on like 1.45 volts with AIO cooling. So it's not impossible, it's just hard to do that kind of clock speed. Also, you need like a good chip. You know, I'm kind of worried if I put 3 of the Furies on this, they might overload the power supply. Oh well. As long as I run them stock, actually, that shouldn't be a problem. Mostly stock, as in don't change the core voltage. and then run them at like 1100 or 1120. I think they do all, yeah, they should all do 1120. Okay, so where's tricks again? Oh, now load apply. There. 37 on the GPU, 36. It'd be nice if I could... If I was starting at 25 degrees, that'd be really nice. Okay, heaven. I'm currently on the 1200 watt Antec high current pro power supply. And you might be like, wait, 3 Fury X's aren't going to overload that. Oh yeah, they're good. They can overload that. I've overloaded the 1600 watt EVGA with 3 Fury X's. So yeah, because I've gotten those cards to pull about 450 watts each. So yeah, I don't think the FPS has gone down. That's a good thing. I need to move to, like, the part of the world which has permafrost. I need to move that far north. I should just move... No, I should just move to Antarctica. Teach the penguins to overclock. Plus free cooling all winter. Yeah, I know how to run multiple PSUs. I even have a little thingy for making them boot up at the same time. Yeah, here's the thing, is like 2 kilowatt power supply, it's just better, like, that thing is so expensive, I don't see the point in it, because I can get more power if I just buy like multiple 1200 watts and stringing them up together. That's like a more cost-effective option. Also, like, those PSUs are actually practically sized, whereas that 2000 watt isn't. You know what I don't get? Is why they can't, like, why nobody has designed like a 1500 watt power supply, which also has like the sort of, like, say, a 500 watts power supply circuitry built into it as well. Because if you have like one of these super high power throughput power supplies, they get really miserable low load efficiency. It's like if you pull 50 watts off one of these, the efficiency is like 75% or something. And so it's like, why don't they, like, these power supplies are so expensive, they could literally just cram a small idle power supply for it, so that when you're not using over a certain amount of power, it could just run off of the smaller one. Oh, damn it, it crashed. Okay, that looks like the core clock of the GPU died, so... GPU cooked itself. Yay. That's the only problem. I'm probably going to have to run at 1600 with less voltage. That's the only option at this point. And the too expensive due to component redundancy. Have you seen some of the prices for like the titanium rated high-end power supplies and the gold rated high-end power supplies? It's really, really like, they're already so expensive. It's like, I don't really see the, like, if you literally just bought like a 1200 watt power supply and then bought another 500 watt to it, it wouldn't cost that much more. It wouldn't make that much difference to your overall cost. So, yeah, it would crank up the cost, but I feel like then they could show off, it's like, oh yeah, and at like 5% load, we have 90% efficiency or something, which would be crazy. I don't have any liquid nitrogen left over right now, so... yeah. Also, if I underclock it, I actually lose performance, don't I? It's gonna suck. Actually, I think I do have some, like, leftover liquid nitrogen. It's not much, but we could do... Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's like maybe 3 liters in there, maybe 4. Basically useless amounts of liquid nitrogen. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is put the chair here. And so the cool thing about DWARs with barely any liquid nitrogen left in them is if you tilt them over, the air that pours out of them is really, really cold. So it's like a liquid nitrogen powered air conditioner for a bit. Let's see, open Sapphire Tricks up. But yeah, this is I've done this before, I think with this card. Let's load up that profile, apply, and let's see if I can pull the temperature down to 30 at least. Up. Yeah, you're not seeing it on camera, there, so 35, how is it, 40, 32, yeah, okay, there, indirect liquid nitrogen cooling. $29, so I'll just have to hold it like this, and all should be good. And yeah, this is boiling off the liquid nitrogen, but not that fast. Yeah, this stuff's cold. It's also really foggy. What? Why is it not showing the FPS? I think the benchmark crashed. Yeah, it errored. Yeah. Oh, hell. I'm using the... Oops. I'm not using the hardware bot launcher. Ah, damn it. Okay. Heaven. Yeah, it's right back up at 30. Up. And run. At least all the Fury cards have like so ridiculously oversized coolers that I won't have to do this. I think I'm only cooling one core properly. There. So as long as it gets around 6.1K like this, all is good. I know what that is. Okay, that's just some gunk on the cooler. I've also had the idea, like, what if you had like a dry ice, like a basket of dry ice and just forced air through it? And then force that into like a heat sink. That'd be another option to do something similarly dumb as this. It seems to be working pretty good. Card hasn't overheated yet. And we still have 3... we're only halfway through the benchmark. Actually, the exhaust on the card is a lot less awful now. In terms of, like, temperature. I've already fabricated a little multi-PSU jumper thingy. Like, I can literally plug in 2 power supplies into that, and both of them turn on at the same time if you press one of their power buttons. So it's not a problem. I can run multi-PSU just fine. It's just I don't really want to extricate the 1600 watt out of the water cooling bench, because that thing is fully wired and it's a massive pain to rewire that system. And well, I guess I could put one of the Furies on the 550 watt Cooler Master. You know, since it's just the card, it probably won't be a problem. I think most of the liquid nitrogen is gone at this point. The fog is getting less dense. How's the air? Yeah. Looks like most of the LN2 and the DWAR is gone at this point. Two more scenes to go. I can put down this DWAR. Hopefully. Wait a minute. Damn. I just realized this will just tell me that if this tells me hyperthreading is not necessary, then yeah, we can go for 5.4 gigahertz, but I still, there's going to be like a cooling problem on the GPU. Yeah, see, now it was running 60 coming out of the benchmark instead of 78 coming out of the benchmark. Whoa. Ugh. And still 6145. Okay, so cool. Cool. We don't need hyperthreading. I just wish the card had bigger heatsinks. I've also considered swapping out the thermal paste on the 7990 with liquid metal. But that seems like I'm not sure if I'll actually keep this card in this state forever, so yeah, I don't know. And also, yeah, that might be a good idea. I'll maybe test that on my own time one day, but okay, so 6145, so we can just go, and now we'll really push the CPU. I just realized I have no music turned on. Wondering why it was so quiet here, ignoring the fact that this card is loud as hell. It does not get cold it doesn't get that cold in England in winter. Like winter, it's like I don't think I've seen snow falling from the sky. I haven't seen snow stay on the ground. Right now I'm working on an HD 7990 for the people who are just joining. Oh, I just noticed there's no mention of what GPU I have in the title of the stream. That's a great idea, isn't it? Unigine Heaven with the what? No. Twitch, you horrible pile of garbage. 7990 and 7700K. There. Done. Bam. Fixed. Oh, that was 5.2 gigahertz. Were we 5.2 gigahertz before? Oh, yeah, we were. Oh, that's gonna crash. That's gonna crash. That's not gonna post. The RAM can't, like, the memory controller can't keep up with that. 102. 52, that's 5.3 at this point. $1.8. Let's tighten this thing up. I might run that. 28. Okay, this can go a lot lower. 2. I should keep a list of like various timings somewhere so that I have something to reference whenever I'm doing this. I know this can go lower. Write latency 12. Write to read. I can't remember what I'm supposed to set those to. Oh well, let's see. Actually, I'll run these a tad looser first. Let's see. $49. Okay, so let's see if retry can fix that. If it doesn't, then we need more VCCIO and VCCSA probably. $7, 32, 16, 25, 49. Retry. It's probably the TCWL. Yeah. Okay. 12 was too low. The TCKE I know can go as low as 4 or 3 above 4,000, so that shouldn't be causing an issue being at 6. I still haven't gone through all the AIOs and tested them on anything that's actually like worth, like I need to throw them on the 5960X, that's my plan. Still haven't gone through testing all of them. This one, like, performs okay, but it's like I don't have a reference for any of the systems I've used this on other than the, like, crappy 120mm AIOs I used before, so yeah, hard to say. This is too low. Damn it! Freaking numlock. There, now it should post. $32, $35, $37, $22, $60. Yep, see? So it went all the way to 60, it's probably gonna work. So now we need to let it reboot a few times just because it takes a while. I'd really like to be able to do 4212, but for whatever, like this RAM is definitely capable of 4200 CL12. I, for whatever reason, can't get it to do it. Couldn't tell you why though. I'm not exactly great at memory overclocking. Okay, that should post. There, yeah, it's posting. There we go. .3, 16, 18, 18, 28, 32. This is good RAM. Admittedly, I'm running 1.8 freaking volts through it, but let's just do run. For some reason, run. Oh, come on. For some reason, there we go. That's what I needed. Services, boot, advanced options, maximum memory. 496. This is necessary for stability with Samsung B-die memory ICs. Exit without restart. We're just going to run as is right now. But I'm already setting up the max memory so that later it actually works. And we're going to start with 32 million because I think at this point, I should break the 6 minute barrier for this benchmark finally. It's doing about 14 seconds per loop. It'll do it. So Skylake and KB Lake are special in that they have working timers for Windows 10. These are the only, like KB Lake and Skylake are the only two platforms that can maintain proper time on Windows 10. Everything, well, actually no, X299 does it too. But basically, everything else can't. So, yeah. You can run Windows 10 on KB Lake and Skylake. You can't run Windows 10 on basically anything else. Unless you're doing 3D Mark Time Spy and a few other benchmarks which are patched specifically so that they work on Windows 10. So, yeah. Windows 10 on Ryzen, there's a few benchmarks you can, and then, like SuperPi, you can't. You have to run Windows 10 on, Windows 7 for SuperPi on Ryzen. The HWBot rule, like, you can just check the rules on HWBot for this. I'll give you a link to it. Oops. There we go. So here's the rules for Windows 10 and 7. Well, Windows 10 and 8. 8 also has the memory, the timekeeping bug. How hot is the i7? No idea. We can't have temperature monitoring turned on right now. Oh, damn, I just remembered I didn't enable high priority and affinity. Oh, well, we can do a second run with that to show how much faster it gets from that. Windows 7 on Ryzen, you just need to install some extra USB drivers. That's pretty much it. No, you can install Windows 10 from a USB stick on Ryzen. That works fine. It's just installing Windows 7 from a USB stick won't work. Windows XP from a USB stick won't work. Basically because you don't have USB 3.0 drivers on those. So, yeah. Right now we're at 5.3 gigahertz, 1.45 volts. On the CPU. And it's not gonna make it under 6 minutes, is it? So close! So damn close. It needs that priority. Oh, damn, I made it. Just under. We can do it faster, though. I can do it faster. I have no idea why it's not maintaining core clock. I need to figure that out one day. Oh well. Oh wait, I could just... Alright, can't use that. There's some glitch on this computer where if I try to type anything into the search bar, it just stops after the first letter. No idea how that happened, but it's a thing. So I need to launch everything from Task Manager, which is great. Yeah, that's probably why. Bam. That's more like it. Yeah. And SuperPi 32M1 save. Oh damn, I just saved SuperPi 32,000,001. Good job me. Good job me. Anyway, I've finally broken the 6-minute barrier. Absolutely like brute force with massive core clock instead of like good settings, but it counts. Let's try heaven now. I'll try SuperPi with lower settings later. Tricks. What's with the why heaven question? is because this is a benchmark that's worth points on HW bot. That's pretty much it, and it's a benchmark I enjoy. It's also extremely CPU bottlenecked, so this is a pretty good test for CPU performance if you have enough GPUs on it. Yeah, I know I complain about how long it is, but Heaven is just, I don't know. It's one of the first benchmarks I ever started, and it's sort of like Cinebench. It's like, it's not a good bench. It's not a great benchmark. It's just, it's okay. I like it. It's less obnoxious than 3D Mark with their stupid launcher anyway. Their stupid launcher keeps breaking. That's the main problem. You can't make Heaven run like, you can't make Heaven finish faster. You can just make it spit out more frames in 4 minutes. Funny thing about Skylake X, KB Lake is the optimum CPU for Unigine Heaven. Actually, no, KB Lake X would be the optimum CPU for Unigine Heaven, not Skylake X, because Unigine Heaven basically doesn't care how many cores you throw at it. It needs 4 very, 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 very fast cores, and that's it. This might break 6.2K. That'd be cool. Oh! Yeah, I'll have to drop the core clock on the GPU because it keeps overheating. Oh man. Freaking flamethrower. I don't really... Yeah, those heat pipes are hot. As usual, I just have Tyrant of Death playing in the background. And I'll actually go and set up the CPU to go even faster for this round. Just because, since it already crashed, I might as well. Oh, 55, come on. I wonder if I have the memory sticks the right way. Oh, no, I don't. Great. Oh, whatever. When it next crashes, I'll swap them. So the thing about memory overclocking is also if you have your best memory stick on your first channel, it clocks better. So, yeah, and right now I have them flipped around. My best stick is in the second channel, so it's not quite as good as it could be. I wanted to try that, just a tad more. Can I overclock the 2 GPU cores separately? I can, actually. You can do that on AMD GPUs. Okay, and let's see if this posts, because I know there's like past 4200 memory. This CPU has a really bad time above 4200. Actually, it has a bad time anywhere from 4000 up, but past 4200 it gets atrocious. So it might not actually post this. Oh, there we go. That got lucky. Worked. So I want to lower the timings even further at this point. I should be able to get it all the way down to at least 1414. 28. If I was less terrible at RAM overclocking, this RAM should do 4212, CL12. But, yeah, we're already getting a 3F error, so... Which I think is too much VTT or not enough... Yeah, so actually I'll be able to fix that still. 3F again. Is going to throw another 3. Yeah, it keeps throwing 3F, so I'll safe boot and change some voltages around. Almost posted. It's not far. That's good. I could back off the base clock to just 4200. To that. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's just go with that and see if I can get that to go faster. Let's see. That might fix it. Because I know I tried to do like 4225 earlier today and that instantly stopped working even at like CL18, so... Nope, still 3Fing. Okay, so we'll safe boot again. No, this board is the Maximus 9 Apex. Why would you want to underclock your RAM? It barely uses any power in the first place. This time it passed, okay. Yeah, this has the whole cutout PCB thing going on. This board does. Wait, just switch you to the other camera view. This one? Yeah. There. It says Apex on the heatsink. Oh, we got a 55, you useless pile of garbage. We'll retry through that. It should work. Don't 55. Okay, that's a 60, that's fine. Okay, now it's posting. Okay, so 1618 just about posts. To hell with it. 2. That's the way to. It's the best way to overclock RAM. Time. Nope. Tweakers Paradise DRAM VTT 0.95. Or actually no, this one needs less. There. Hopefully it shouldn't throw a 3F code at me again. 32, 35, 30, 3F. Why can't I be good at RAM overclocking? I have no idea what I'm doing. I should try 17 instead of going straight to 16. Yeah. Okay, that's what I'll do next. Ooh, I should also swap the DIMMs. I'll do that after the... Well... I'll do that soon. That might actually get around the 3F code now that I think about it. Oh wait, this is in auto mode. It should be in mode 2. Rampage 5 Extreme and a 5820K. I do not... I hate the Rampage 5 Extreme. It is, like... This takes a while to boot up memory settings. Haswell E plus a Rampage 5 Extreme basically is like, just don't try to overclock RAM, and that's the only way you'll ever be able to like enjoy using that motherboard. Because if you try to do any aggressive memory settings on that board, it's just awful. It is so bad. It'll post, like, let's say you get settings, right, and the first time you get lucky and they post and you get into your OS and you have 16 gigs of RAM, you have 4 DIMMs of RAM and 4 gigs, so you get 16 gigs of RAM in the OS, everything is working. And then you reset your system and it fails to post. Then you reset your system again, it posts, but you get into the OS and you only have 8 gigs of RAM. So you restart again and you post, and you get into the OS and you have 4 gigs of RAM. So you restart again, you fail to post. You restart again, you get into the BIOS. Looks like you have 16 gigs of RAM, get into the OS, you only have access to 12. And that's basically what Haswell E memory overclocking is like. It just randomly drops memory channels all the time. And that's basically why I avoid, like, I hate X99 for that reason. And the Rampage 5 Extreme motherboard does that like, I've used 3 X99 boards so far. The Rampage 5 Extreme does that the most. So far, from all the boards I've used, does it the most. It also tends to clock RAM better, but it does that so much that it's just like, I'd rather have a board which clocks 200 megahertz worse than have a board where I can barely ever post properly, because it's just infuriating. Anyway, let's get this running. I'm seeing a 55. It's close to working. It's close. It's just... It might be worth it to go down to 4100 instead of trying to run 4200. Because the memory controller on this CPU is just not very good. 55 again. Okay, I'll swap the sticks around. If that fixes it, great. If it doesn't fix it, I'm dropping the memory clock. Because the thing is, memory clock speed versus like timings goes up, like, you can get really like, there's a sweet spot for your memory timings and clock speed. So, and for Samsung B-Die, that happens, like, the memory sticks are capable of like peak memory, like lowest memory timings at highest memory clock speed between sort of 4000 and 4400. In that range, you can run like CL12, with, you know, on like 2 volts. but you can run 4200 CL12 and 4400 CL12 as well as 4000 CL12, and you can just run in that range. Very, very tight timings and great performance. And then if you try to go beyond that, your timings just go through the roof really, really, really quickly. See, now it's posting. Unless it's going to throw a overclock failed error at me. Yeah, overclocking failed error. Okay, that doesn't matter. I'll just retry it. But yeah, basically the best memory settings I've gotten out of this system were 4040, I think, memory clock, and it was like so borderline in terms of stability. Oh, whoa, it's gonna... I think... Yeah, swapping the memory sticks around fixes it. Yeah, so you really do need to have your best stick in the right slot, otherwise it's just not going to work. So let's go for 16. Please don't 3F. 3F, damn. Let's see, I'll retry through that, but I doubt it. Yeah, still 3F. So I'll safe boot, and I'll drop the memory clock, because 1616 versus 1211 is such a massive timing difference that you actually get better performance at lower clock. Like, that's the thing a lot of people don't realize. It's like every operation in your memory is delayed by the timings. So if you're at like 5 gigahertz memory clock speed, but you're running like CL40, your cast latency is higher than if you were running like 3000 at CL10. It's worse cast latency overall, which is why you don't see people benchmarking at 5 gigahertz memory clock, because it's completely worthless. The memory actually ends up slower than it could be. And of course the whole numlock thing again, 101. So that gives us... And I'll just drop the multiplier. There, 4040. Let's see, 102. Okay, let's see. This should post. This should have no problem. Because we did lose like 120 megahertz on that, so... Might be able to do 14 on this with my... It's still throwing a 3F. God, I hate this. I think I have my RTLs set wrong. Fortunately, I don't know the first thing, like... Well, we'll try fix that. RTL IOL control. So, if I remember correctly, you're supposed to have... Come on, numlock. 49... 49... 7... 7? No. 7. Should be like that. Or was it 4951? And that's for CL12. Actually, you know what? Here's a better way to deal with this. If you have a Maximus 9 Apex, the best thing about this board is you can go into this memory presets menu, 2x new Samsung single-sided, so this is B-die profiles. Then you go to this profile right here. Well, that one actually, not the hard one. This one is a nightmare to load up, but get working. Load that up. And it basically sets everything for you. It's also really, really like overly aggressive, but can be made to work. So you can loosen out some of the timings on this. Lemons. Yeah, okay, so this one is absolutely critical for getting 4000 working at all. And then RTL IOL control, 50, 51, 7, 7. Okay, yeah, I was off. I was way off. It's not supposed to be 49. I don't know why I thought it was 49. But I know this won't work at 4080. So we'll try that. Also, unfortunately, this board has a 2-volt memory voltage limit, unless you put it into LN2 mode, which is obnoxious to say the least. This takes a while to post. Unless it hits 4F, in which case it failed. Oh wait, no, it sits on 4F. That's right, yeah. 49, lovely. It's a memory controller, not happy with it. Okay, wait, I'll safe boot. Also, running really high CPU clock at the same time as really high memory clock tends to also, like, your memory overclocking won't go as well if you have high CPU clock, so they do affect each other. When you're on, like, the, you know, absolute edge of, like, when you're pushing really, really aggressive settings, yeah, they do impact each other quite a bit. So I'll drop that down to 5 gigahertz. Now push that up. $240. And no. 240 there. Actually, for this bit, I should just relax the BCLK for 100. Now, the thing is, for SuperPi, core clock still beats memory clock, like memory settings for the most part, so these settings, it's not going to be faster than on when it was on 5.3 gigahertz. Please don't fort stupid thing. I'll try retry. Okay, reset. Well, I'll safe boot it this time, and I'm pretty sure I need more memory voltage at this point, so I will put the board in LN2 mode. Personally, I don't like the LN2 mode thing that ASUS does. Like, I don't get why it's necessary. It's like, why don't you just give me access to more voltage on air? It's like, why does it just top out at 2 volts? Why can't there just be a setting in the BIOS which is LN2 mode instead of like an actual physical jumper which limits how high you can set certain... Oh, it's not even at 2 volts. That might be part of why it's not working. Well, that explains everything. 2. There. That should fix quite a few things. Okay, that's set up properly, though. Okay. 49 still, damn it. $7990s don't have any kind of lid. Most GPUs don't. The only GPUs that do is like older NVIDIA cards. And there is profile 3. There. And I think this one needs LN2 mode enabled to work. Yeah, it does. That's why it's not posting. I need way more memory voltage. Yeah. Okay. Nope. And it sets that to 0.95, yeah. On the off chance that it manages to post, I'll let it. Yeah, 55. Well, that's progress. You can retry through a 55, you can't retry through a 49. Well, it's harder. 55s are better. There we go, so that's LN2 mode engaged. Try again. Memory timings calculator. Message. Ugh, I can't remember it. Actually, I remember seeing something about it. I don't think I checked it out. So, I have no idea. Don't have a response for you on that. Okay. Still 55ing. Damn it. Still throwing 55. I hate RAM overclocking. It's too hard. I'm not going to waste any more time with this, because the last few times I've tried to get these memory settings working, it took me... Well, the first time I tried to get these memory settings working, it took me like 16 hours. So we're not going to bother with that. We're just going to load up Profile 2, and we're going to start over from basically 0. 102. I'm gonna go for 4100 memory clock. And like CL14 or something like that. There we go. There. This should post. I think. Well, that looks promising. It got to 4F. So the long time on 4F, that's due to the 1T memory setting. That's the 1T command rate. And the 55, I have no idea. I want to blame the memory controller for that. Oh, I'll safe boot as it is. I'll try more VDIM. And give it 2 volts, call it a day. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay. No, I'm using the 240mm liquid freezer cooler. No, I haven't gotten anything from Twitch about getting a partnership. Today, everything has RGB. The thing about RGB is it's a really easy feature to check off, because it's like RGB LEDs aren't exactly... Like, they're not new, they're not super complicated or anything. Compared to, like, other features. Oh, come on. I wish I had another 7700K to compare with, or something with like a known good memory controller, because I am super, like, I really want to blame the CPU for everything here, because it's just like, I have no idea what else it could be. DRM timing control. That worked last time, so, no, 2. There. Go for slightly worse settings in terms of, there. Slightly more frequency, slightly looser timings. This should work, unlike the other settings. And at this point, I'm just gonna, we get in and I run benchmarks. I don't want to mess with any more memory settings. Don't 55 on me, you useless pile of garbage. Oh well, 16, 17 then it is. I don't know why I'm so bad at RAM overclocking. The worst part is like this kit is known to do at least 4060, well, does 4060 1211 timings, and all I couldn't get 4000 1211 working. So yeah, I'm very good at this. What on earth? Sounds fine. Okay, we can't actually get through a 49, so I'll retry. Yeah, the Apex is better at memory overclocking than the Extreme. Like, until X299 came out, the Maximus 9 Apex basically held all the world records for everything except maximum memory clock in single core, like low core count benchmarks. Here's the thing, today I'm actually trying a bunch of settings that I've never done before. Like, I've never bothered to really clock 4200 or anything. So far, my experience with this memory was hell trying to get 4012 working. And I never got that working to the, like, there's profiles on there which, if you retry them enough times, they will eventually work. But I don't really feel like retrying for who knows how long. And then there's the... And then I did like a maximum memory clock attempt, which also wasn't anything like spectacular and didn't go great, but like that one I topped out at 4500, and I'm not going to use the settings from that for anything anyway, because it's maximum memory clock. It's terrible performance. Honestly, I like the look of the Maximus 9 Apex. And it is an ROG board. I mean, the RGB is a bit tacky, but the board looks fine. There's not that much extra garbage on it, really. Like, there's no plastic anything anywhere, so... Well, except like the DIMM slots and stuff, but... Those have to be made out of plastic. I have no idea why this isn't working. The thing is, it might be trying to set like really aggressive timings on its own. Let's see. 16, 6. Because I did have those set. Back off the core memory voltage again. 0.9. 55. Great. Okay, 49 this time. $55 this. It'd be really nice if somebody wrote down what postcode, generally what you need to do for it to pass, because it's just so uninformative. It throws a 55, then it throws a 49, and it's like, okay, well, there's something wrong. Who knows what? Actually, no. Also, it'd be nice if it would stop forgetting the numlock key. That'd be great. Nope, don't want that. I'll try train it. So I'll start at looser timings, post those, then start tightening the timings up. Oh wait, I might not, I'm not on XMP, am I? That might be it. That might also... Yeah, okay. I'll add XMP to the mix. That tends to help. Just, I don't know why actually, because the XMP profile for most memory sticks doesn't really include any details for most of the timings. It's like, it sets the primaries, it sets the voltage, it sometimes changes the system agent and I/O voltage. It also has some of the, like, more important timings, but generally it's not super detailed, okay? Oh, wait, I just told it enhanced, didn't I? Oh, well. Yeah, so it didn't do anything to any of the other timings. I don't know. It does help though, so. Like, I've tested that, and it's like there's a lot of boards where enabling XMP alone just makes them clock better. Which is weird as hell, but it works, so not gonna question it. Get to 60, please. There, now it's working again. I hate RAM. It's more or less, it just feels random in terms of like why it works or doesn't. It's like, why does enabling XMP suddenly fix this? Because, like you saw, the XMP didn't really change anything in terms of actual settings, so... Ah, now it posts. Oh wait, we're at low clock. There, that's what I wanted. Still, let's see if that posts now. No, that's still throwing 49s. At least it's consistent. Okay. I had 16 working though earlier. That's what I don't get, is like, how did it now break when earlier in the stream it was working? Make it to 60, please. 55, come on! And just 55s and 49s at random. I don't think there's a 69 post code. At all. Oh, no, no, no. I still want to test a lot of things today, so I'm not going to quit that quickly. And the thing is, it's like a lot of these voltages aren't a case of just crank them up. It's a lot of the time it's like, oh, you need to find a sweet spot. If they're not in the right sweet spot, they won't freaking boot. $55 again. Okay, you know what? We're gonna reset the whole freaking thing. Just completely reset. Pack up. No, not the stream, just the board. I'm just gonna pack up the entire BIOS. Because sometimes that alone fixes things. And I'll try load up the Dancop profile that's saved in the BIOS. Right? Nah, actually no, I won't, because that won't finish Unigine. Actually no, it finishes SuperPi 32 million every so often, so it could finish Heaven. But it won't do it at high core clock, so not worth it. Oh, oops. BIOS reset. There we go. XMP. Actually. Why? No, I don't actually have the profile set up anyway, so whatever. I'll just manually set up the whole thing. Yeah. 4133. That should work on its right off the bat. Just do that. Level 4. Why is it like, why don't they just have a disable current capability thing? That's something I'll never understand. Numlock 800. CPU power phase. Ultra fast. Manual. Also, what sometimes helps is in the Tweaker's Paradise, you have DRAM, no. Eventual DRAM voltage, which is useful for some reason. Memory tends to train better at low voltage. No idea why, it's just a thing. So basically you can have it that the memory starts up on like 1.95 volts, and then once it starts up, once it's finished the memory training process, it goes to 2 volts, or 2.05 or whatever. But yeah, I'm not going to use that. 1.6, 1.4, 1.45, disabled, 255, 48, 1.25, 1.28, disable, enable. I like ASUS boards that you can just like punch in oversized values and they set it up properly for you. There's other motherboards out there where you punch in like 999 and they just reset to auto, which is dumb. It's like, why can't it just do what I want? 400. Disable that. Advanced CPU configuration. We don't need hyper-threading. That's disabled. Disable that. And no. Boot performance. C states. Disable, disable, disable. And 52, 102. Now let's start with 100. And then if this posts, we're going to jump to 102, and hopefully this will work. This is basically what we started the stream with. So, and this worked at the start of the stream. So it should work again. Would you look at that? Now it works. Useless garbage. Why do you torture me so? Why does resetting the BIOS fix this? Oh well, 102. Oh, come on, numlock. Also, I forgot about this. So the thing is, LN2 mode on this motherboard sets your PLL termination voltage really, really high, which has a tendency to cook the GPU on the CPU if you have the iGPU enabled. So, yeah, that's not great. And the reason why it sets the PLL voltage really, really high if you're in LN2 mode is really, really high PLL voltage is the only way to get KV like booting at like minus 170 degrees and working like this. It kills the cold bug essentially. So there's a reason why they do it. It's just it's annoying because if LN2 mode just extended ranges, that'd be nice. 5.3 gigahertz is so far the highest CPU clock I've gotten, and the highest Unigine Heaven score was I think 6.1K, 6.15K, something like that. Yeah, now it works. So basically, if you're ever overclocking RAM and you get to a point where you can't get anything working, reset the BIOS. You might want to save a profile before you do that, though. Yeah, now it's working. 4200 memory, here we go. I wonder if we could run 4300 memory at 1818 timings. Kinda want to try that. Let's go for it. Let's go for that. Drop CPU clock a bit. If this doesn't post, I'm going straight back to 102. Yeah, that's not posting. I'm not gonna bother with it that much because I do still want to run the 3-way Fury cards, so we need to get on with this. I'm gonna go ham on the CPU voltage and give it 5.4 gigahertz. No, we'll do 5.35 on 1.5. I think. Think it should be able to do that. Oh, I forgot. Disabled there. Extreme tweaker. 102. Come on, numlock. Alright, if I want... Yeah, okay, that's not... Because if I want 3.5... Okay, wait, we can drop the memory clock a bit. $360. Come on, now it's 55ing again. Heaven isn't so RAM heavy, it's just like... It can gain from it. Because it's basically, it's massively CPU bottlenecked, so... Anything you do to memory or CPU clock helps. Wait, I have an idea. I'll try 1919. 39. Just try post it pretty loose. Yeah, but I think that really, like, the problems I have the moment I try to go past 4200 on this CPU just indicate the memory controller is really, really bad. Luckily, if you run a CPU on liquid nitrogen, the memory controller actually gets better. So, yeah. See, now it's posting! And that was a retry button hit, I think, not a safe boot. Yeah. Yeah, so... You can get it working, you just need, so... Okay, let's try that. And... Also, the CPU is not at the voltage I wanted. Unlock 1.5. And... Because if you look at Tweaker's Paradise, right now what I'm doing is... So here I have 1.95 volts in the Tweaker's Paradise. And basically, that's what we're running at right now, but when the memory is going through the training process, it does it at 1.85, and that helps memory training for some reason. I don't know why, it just does. Actually, I'll just leave those alone for now. And I think I need to hit the retry button every time from now on because of the eventual DRAM voltage thing. 55 again. Because I think when it goes out of powered on into training, it goes at 1.95 volts instead of 8.5. 32. Yeah. Okay. Progress. I suck less now. There is a very good reason why we use eventual DRAM voltage. It's because it fixes so much for some reason. Okay, we can definitely drop this to 28 because that's... The 28 right there is pretty much voltage independent. You can almost always run that. And I want 3.6. Come on! Numlock. Useless garbage. 320. No, I said 320. There. And I think I might need to, yeah. Okay, so retry again. I'm going to train at 1.85 and then run at 1.95. Actually, that's how I got the Micron memory kit I have to do 3000 CL10 almost on this board, is because it was booting at like 1.7 and then it was running 1.75. Yeah. Yeah, this behaves way better if you do it this way. Yeah, RAM overclocking. Difficult stuff. That's the point of today's stream, pretty much. It's like, I know Unigine Heaven is like the 7990 is kind of like what probably most people were hoping for, but I personally wanted to more mess around with RAM on this platform than anything else. So, yeah. At least we're finally in the OS again. Now it crashes. 535 memory, 4250 memory, 1719, 1928. These aren't like amazing memory settings, but they're not trash. They're not completely garbage. You know what? Since this setup is ambient cooled and it isn't really hard for me to like stream with it, we can do like I could stream and I'm on summer holiday. I can stream again during the week more memory overclocking like this. Anyway, let's get Heaven running. At this point, I'm expecting to break 6.2K proper with the GPU, so let's load that up. Oh no. Load, apply. Still doing 36. I'm gonna go grab the DWAR and tilt it over again. Indirect liquid nitrogen cooling for the win. Not quite enough to pour it into an LN2 pot, still enough to feed the GPU cold air. Actually, I should show you what that looks like. That probably might look more interesting than staring at the... There. So, actually, I can angle this up a bit. Ugh. Damn heavy thing. There we go. And GPU temps are dropping already. Might be able to run some extra core clock on that. Yeah. 25, 24. Okay, let's run. Oops, wrong mouse. Ugh. It's too bad, like, this GPU, if it had more cooling, it could definitely do the entire benchmark at 1200 core. Because this thing can do 1220 for Firestrike, but... oh well. It's already super, like, it's already way faster than all the other cards anyway, so. There we go. That coil wine. Also, if I swap out the capacitors, then like the difference between like the really expensive SMD polymers and these FP Nichicons, even on something like a GTX 960, was 5 megahertz of core clock. So on something like this, I imagine it could even pick up like another 10 megahertz from a better capacitor set. But yeah, they're really expensive, the SMD polymers that I use. But I also plan to test some cheaper ones because, well, basically, you know, I don't think I need like the... If I can get most of that performance without necessarily spending so much money, that'd be great. Because right now, it's like the polymers, the really, really good capacitors I've tested so far cost like 1.5 pounds a piece. And then if you're buying them like 10 of them, you're still paying like 12 pounds a piece. Well, you're paying 12 pounds for 10 because you do get that bulk discount, but still, it's so expensive. Because basically, I'd want to attach like 16 of them to each of the V-Core VRMs. So that'd be like 32 capacitors. Yeah, that'd be like bad. That'd be really expensive. Oh, 7 more scenes. Can I reuse the capacitor? Yeah, I can technically just move them around cards, but it's like this 7990 is a sort of... Like, I consider it a little permanent project, so any modifications I put on this card, I don't want to pull off. Ideally. Like, I want this card to basically get the capacitor mod and then be used daily, more or less, at that point. Just sort of, like, just, yeah, I don't know. Weird ideas I have. I'm starting to, like, and the annoying thing is I didn't properly test, like, where this 7990 maxed out before all the mods. So now I'm considering getting another 7990 so that I can test that one stock and then do that one with a ton of... Then mod that one even more than this one and see how much I can make that one, like, improve. I can't wait to see 400 FPS in Unigine Heaven. That's what's going to happen when we put the Fury cards on this. There we go. Oh, come on! Still just under 6.2. I think with the cold air, it might make it. Honestly, indirect dry ice would be a better idea, in my opinion, instead of like this. Mostly because, like, oh, oops, spilled some LN2 on the motherboard. Tilted it too far. If I had the apex insulated, I'd actually be willing to throw the CPU on a bit of liquid nitrogen, but I don't have enough nitrogen. Like, it wouldn't last more than, like, maybe an hour, which I don't think is really worth it, because I still have no idea how to overclock a Kaby Lake properly on liquid nitrogen, so that wouldn't go very well. Ah, 16 scenes to go. This card would be a rocket if it was on water. It would probably do like 1250 core for everything. Because it can do 1220 for 3D Mark without the whole liquid nitrogen cooled intake air, so... Put it on water. I don't wanna. I just don't feel like putting the card on water, that's the thing. Oh, come on. Well, it crashed. That sucks. Ah, that was so close. Oh well, I already have like a 6,100 something score saved, so not a huge loss. It's too bad. Anyway, let's throw the Furies on there just to see what happens if I apply ridiculous amounts of GPU firepower to this system. And then we can try to clock the RAM higher, because I think that might actually be necessary. Oh, well, these power cables got pretty damn... well, the ends are warm. The cables themselves are decently warm as well. Okay. Here comes the GPU fleet. There we go. So, yeah. This is the card from the front. There's the back, more detail. So, yeah. And basically, these little standoffs, one, the screws are too long. Two, I can put the card down without putting like strain on the capacitors on the back of it, because they actually are shorter than those standoffs, so that's cool. But if I switch this thing to SMD polymers, then that's not going to be like that's not actually going to be useful any longer, so yeah. Let's get the Furies. This is a Fury X, so I'll put that in the first slot. There we go. Card number 1. This might actually make it, like, make the memory unstable again, because generally, multi-GPU setups, the extra strain they put on the CPU system agent, really don't make the CPU happy, though that tends to be more, like, I know that definitely happens on, like, X99, but that might be because it actually has more PCIe lanes. I'm not sure what it'll do if you don't have enough PCIe lanes anyway, like, because basically this only has 16, so it's going to be 8, 4, 4 instead of 16 to one GPU. So that'll be interesting. Also, the capacitors on this GPU, the ones for the V-Core VRM don't seem to actually help the card clock any higher. The ones on the HBM do help a bit. Not a ton, but a bit. And I'd also like to swap that card to polymers, to the SMD polymers instead of the giant ones I have on there. Basically, since I discovered that the SMD polymers are really, really awesome, I want to put them on everything. If only I had as many of them as I have of the... Because I have like 100 of these. Well, had 100. Some of them are on cards at this point, but... Yeah, so this is a Tri-X card. 3,840 stream processors enabled on it. And then I have the XFX Fury, which I still haven't tried unlocking at all, so... Or even checked if it unlocks or not. So... And, okay. Forgot to do one little thing. I'm going to pull all of the PCIe slot tabs out of this board. Because they're annoying when you try to disassemble a three-way setup. Because you can't just pull, like... Because right now, the first slot doesn't have the PCIe tab, so I can just yank the card out like that. Once there's 3 of them, that's going to be a massive pain. So... Yeah, and the thing about these new... Like these plastic tabs that ASUS is using now on their boards, you can actually pull them out without wrecking the PCIe slots, so... I've managed it a few times at least. Where's the freaking... Where did that go? Where's the needle nose pliers, damn it? Oh well. Oh, there they are. Basically, you can just... Up. There. And the entire tab still works. I can reinsert it if I ever need it. Which I do just because I think it'll... Like, if I ever use the board in a daily system, then I might... Up. This one. There we go. Tabs are now removed. GPUs can be inserted freely. This card first slot. I'm not actually sure how it'll work out in terms of card assignments, but basically you just want the best card in the first slot. That's the most important, and then the other cards basically don't matter. There, and this being a Tri-X card, this normally has an air cooler, so I had to actually make an adapter to plug in the pump. Now we need the XFX Fury, which is here. Ta-da. And the GPU sandwich. Is now complete. So obviously I put the water-cooled cards in the, like, yeah, they're the ones with restricted airflow. The air-cooled cards the air-cooled card gets fresh air. And this is more or less, one day, the plan is that I'll run this setup with 4 GPUs, where there'll be a third water-cooled Fury right here, and then this Fury will move on to the chipset slot. So, and that way, I should theoretically be able to take down the world record in Unigine heaven on 4 GPUs, but I'll need the CPU on LN2 for that. So this is sort of preparation for that. I don't think I'll actually take down the 3-way record or anything with this, but just to sort of see if it even works. Which reminds me, I need more PCIe power cables now. Okay, now those are the wrong PSU. Not there. They gotta be here. Yeah, okay, this is Antec. I need to replace that with like a SATA power connector. That would be a lot less. Actually, no, I should make that a 3-pin fan connector. That'd be a better idea. Okay, now I need to be able to get to the PSU at this point, somehow. Actually, I'm not gonna need the fourth, no I will. Because of that pump. Go. Ta-da. Hop. Plug that in. Oh, I've been waiting so long to run this. Well, no, that's true about the 4-way setup. 3-way, not so much. There we go. Just need the pump power. The Triax card, and this thing will run. And I'll actually put the fan right here. Come on, hold. There. So that it pushes some air between the cards. But I don't want it over the air-cooled one or it'll screw up that one's airflow, so hopefully that won't slide off. It's not sliding off. Cool. Oh, damn, I forgot to plug in the cable. Okay, so we'll need Windows 10 to, I have tried... Wait, one defective CU so you can do 4032? I haven't tried 4032. I have tried 4096, but that didn't work. Okay. Okay, so a few of these cards are in power saver mode. There we go. There, and I need... Oh, they're actually all ULPS disabled. Cool. There. Okay. That was just the... Why is the display screwing up so badly? The driver being stupid? Yeah, it's the driver being stupid. Ugh. Very stupid. Yeah, it can't make up its mind on if it wants the cards in ultra low power state, and now they're stuck. Okay, good. Good. I'm gonna need flash stick, and I need utilities. Tricks 5? 6. Wait, what's this one? Oh yeah, not available, cool. So we're gonna use 512, 5.2. And I need to check the BIOSes on these cards. So, okay, they're all on the stock BIOS. Good. That'll work. Oh, AMD driver, okay, need to restart. Okay, well, 55, we can retry through that.
There is nothing that cannot be achieved for skill.
Well, here goes the flamethrower. Disable frame pacing, override, off, performance. Wait, what? This is disabled. Enabled 3 GPUs, okay. We need to do some validation stuff here. So I'm gonna need a few GPU-Z windows. Sensors. Yeah, so right now they're still in ultra low power state, which is really not supposed to. That's not good. Tricks Ultra. Settings. Disable ultra low power state. Okay. So we still need to restart one more time. The cards will be in ULPS, which won't work. Right now I'm working on getting 3-way Crossfire Fury cards working. And then we'll run some Unigine Heaven at 5.35 gigahertz on the 7700K with 4250 megahertz memory. As well as CL17, I think. It's not working. We're going to retry through that. I'm really worried about that blue screen we saw getting out of Windows. It might have tripped up the ULPS enable disable thing. Yeah, looks like it did. Looks like the drivers exploded. Yeah. Lovely. Why did it have to crash on its way out? Well, tricks won't work, so I need to restart one more time. So that'll throw a 55 again, because it'll try to train on high voltage. Of course it did. What do you mean switch screens? What, to this? I'm not doing anything there. Well, not now, anyway. Idiot Windows! No, it does not need to be repaired. Enter to try again, press... I think the system agent has too much load on it at this point. Might need to raise the voltage for it. Between the memory and all the GPUs, it's dying. I don't actually aim to overclock. I'm not probably going to leave all the Fury cards stock, to be completely honest. I might bump the HBM up, but... Okay. It looks like I might have completely destroyed Windows. That would be a pretty good way to end the stream, wouldn't it? I don't want automatic repair, you pile of garbage. No! Don't diagnose anything. Oh. Restart. $55 again. Please, Windows, work now. You know what would be really cool if, like, AMD made, like, an extreme overclocking driver? That'd be freaking awesome. Like, it wouldn't check what BIOS you're running, it wouldn't have ULPS, it wouldn't have any power savings, you know, none of the safety garbage would work. Everything would be broken. Okay, I think ULPS might be still working, so... Let's see, Trix Ultra. And this is called Trix Ultra because it goes to plus 200. Crossfire is on, frame pacing off. Okay, looks like the driver reset completely. That's really annoying. Performance, aim, yep. Okay, that's all good. Yeah, okay, so I'll restart with this, and then I'll go and change ULPS. I don't know, maybe if I do it step by step, it won't blow itself to pieces. 5, that's normal. To be completely honest with you guys, I love the little LED load indicators that Fury cards come with. Like, they're super useful for telling what's going on with the GPUs when you're in a benchmark and for some reason the FPS is really, really bad and you're running 3-way or 4-way. It's just way more useful than having like GPU Z open. Most of the time you can just look at the LEDs and be like, oh, this card's not working for whatever reason. So, now we need to kill ULPS. It won't let me overclock. There. Disable. Apply. Okay. Please don't be sawed. So that's what happened last time. Okay. It worked. Okay, so 1120 on each of the cards. 1550 memory. Is possible on all of these. It's really weird. It's like, I've talked to other people about Fury overclocking, and apparently having cards that all can do like 570 megahertz on the memory setting is rare. Which I know that goes down to the 545 divider, like the 545 megahertz strap thing AMD has. I really hope the Vega card has better memory overclocking support than the Furies. Like, that alone, if they just gave the memory its own clock gen or something, that'd be amazing. Of course they're not going to do that, because overclocking is always the last thing anybody considers when designing an architecture. It's like, what can we make it run at decent power levels? No, what can we make it run when it burns 3 or 4 times as much power? Yep. Okay. All the cards are out of idle. I'm pretty sure the Vega card is coming with 800 megahertz HBM. Something like that. Yeah, it's in synchronized mode. I don't really want to find out if the power supply will take... let's do it. Worst case, it'll just crash in the middle of the run. Okay, so we're running that. And... I just want to check that my settings are still ugly. Yeah, okay. And let's check that the CPU is running the way it is supposed to be. Yeah, 5.35 CPU clock, 4250 memory. Let's rock and roll. This should spit out like 400 FPS. This is going to be ridiculous. I can't wait. It's also going to burn a ton of power, which I'm actually more interested in. It's not actually burning that much power. It's only doing 550 watts. The 7990 was worse. And the FPS isn't really that high. I think this thing is like... CPU bottleneck to hell, pretty much. Oh no, we're hitting 400 here. Okay, that's a good... Oh man, the score on this is going to be insane. This is going to spit like 8K. This is literally going to spit out 8K. I'm really hoping it puts 8K. If I put that CPU on liquid nitrogen, this will put out so high scores, it'll just like... be... like, yeah. I need to get another D-War. Like, I really need to do that now. because like if I had the CPU at 6.4 gigahertz right now, this would be running so much faster. Ah, this is really good. It's really pulling only. Oh no, now it's doing 700 at the wall. But yeah, it's not that bad. The thing about Fury X's is like, unless you put like, I've overloaded the 1600 watt power supply because I had like 1.4 volts core on every single one of the cards, and at that point they pull like 500 watts each. So, yeah. If you just have them running stock settings, they're actually pretty power efficient. Well, power efficient by my standards. Also the lack. Okay, not lack. These still have coil whine, it's just nowhere near as bad as the 7990 had it. Oh, no, yeah, it looks like the capture card gave up, because I do still have video. See? It's still running heaven. And unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, the only fix for when this happens is to unplug and re-plug in the capture card to the video source. It's like I can't refresh the capture card right. Wait a minute. Actually, I should be able to do that. No, OBS might crash. Okay, heaven just crashed. For some reason. Wonder why. D3D device removed. Okay, actually that was one of the GPUs giving up. Yeah, okay, so that crashed. Well, I can just plug it in and unplug. There. That's back. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna move this fan from half-fast speed to full speed. That's the other thing I like about the Apex. It has fan headers on it that run at full speed all the time. They're not regulated. So, there. More cooling. But this just crashed. And yeah, it seems to have blown up. I'll just reset. Okay, so that's 55ing. We can get rid of that. Yeah, I need to max out the fan speeds for the Fury cards, because the thing a lot of people don't realize, like, it's like, I don't know why, but it's just people keep forgetting that AMD GPUs are like super temperature sensitive, so they clock a lot higher if they're cold. So I'll just let them, I pretty much let one of them overheat when I just ran it the way I did. So, which is why even 1125 crashed. Fixed. Oh, there's a problem with... There we go. Yeah. Let's just check with GPU-Z that all the fan speeds are maxed out. Yeah, they are. All of them are maxed out. Good. Good, good, good. Time to cook myself for real. I'm gonna give them a tad more voltage, and there. And I'm just gonna check the GPUs again. Also check the AMD driver didn't like wipe itself, so yeah, all three of them are good. Tessellation is still overridden, that's the most important one. Let's run heaven. Wrong benchmark. This first scene just doesn't seem to scale with GPUs. Like, on the 7990 we were hitting around 200 FPS on this start, and it's still hitting around the same. This thing goes up way high. Okay, how much power is it pulling? So funny thing about I think Heaven pulls the most power when the FPS goes really high. Yeah, now it's doing 730, 760, but it's not close to overloading the PSU. If I cranked up the core voltage, it would very quickly be a problem. Well, I can't wait to see the power consumption once we get to the windmill. It's gonna go like 800 watts or something. You also got to understand that since there is a CPU bottleneck, the GPUs aren't pulling as much power as they could be pulling. Because you can get a Fury X to very easily pull 400 watts if you so want to. Problem is, since I'm pretty sure these are starved for PCIe lanes, and the CPU is not quite fast enough, that's not actually going to happen. So right now we're hovering around 600 watts of power draw. And here's a pretty high FPS scene. And yeah, it just went over 700, 750, and back down to sort of 600 range. 600 to 700 right now. 770. Okay, so that's a new high. We're going to see the windmill very, very soon. Because on the windmill, it might hit like 500, which would be crazy. 400? 500 FPS right now. 780 watts of power draw. Here comes the windmill. After, I think, 1 or 2 more scenes. Yeah, okay. Right now doing 700. I think I just saw 790. So there we go, windmill scene. This is part 1. When it zooms up the windmill and goes over like 500 FPS, that's what I'm waiting for. I want to tilt this. There we go. 760, 800, 830. Okay, so it hit 830 watts on that scene. So yeah, this thing gets, the thing is, if you actually want to max out your GPU power draw in Unigine, what you do is you fly under the island and you point the camera at the clouds. Oh, so close to 8K. So close. Damn it, but I'd need like a lot more CPU power to actually get 8K at this point. Actually, no, we could try optimize the memory a bit. We could try optimize the memory on the CPU side of things. We're not going to run 3D Mark on this because this is a 7700K. It sucks at 3D Mark. Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Ow! Radiator pointed at me, so I'm gonna point it away. There we go. Make screenshot, save result. Fury 3-way, Heaven 1, save. Shut down, restart. This won't post, yeah. Oh, just wondering max watts on the 3D Mark? I don't even want to know. It's gonna be so high. Yeah, that's actually the benchmark I was overloading the 1600 watt power supply with. 3D Mark. Unigine never had that problem, but 3D Mark, yeah, took down the power supply. Repeatedly. So... I have the 1600 watt gold version, so that one maxes out at 90% efficiency, the one I have. Well, no, actually it does go a little bit over that, doesn't it? That was in the Johnny Guru review, that the gold one is actually almost a platinum. Okay, let's see if this posts, and then we'll keep trying to push the timings down. 55, retry. All good. Oh man, I love the low boot voltage. That makes such a big difference for the RAM. It's so weird. Less voltage, more stable. Anyway, 1618 works. Actually, I need to retry that. As soon as it hits 55. Yeah, I have the G2. I don't have the P2. Well, see ya, Mike, McCulty. There we go. Whoa, that's still working. And oh man, the things you discover at random. Low boot voltage is the way to go. And 14. What? The memory controller actually on Kaby Lake is like super tough, and the guidelines from ASUS I got was like maximum 2.1 volts. if you don't want to incur permanent damage to the memory controller on air cooling or water cooling. So that was 2.1, and then 2.2 volts on liquid nitrogen. And the memory sticks themselves, that varies from stick to stick. Above 1.9 volts, some sticks sometimes can die, but it's not like guaranteed that you're going to kill them or that you're going to degrade them. Like, a lot of people run B-die on 2 volts regularly and they're fine. So yeah, there's a lot of memory ICs that don't work at high voltage though. Like, if you give them 2 volts, they won't be stable. You can't make them stable at all, so. Yeah, but it's not like it's an instant kill any voltage or anything. No, we're at 1.3 VCCIO. It's 2.1 volts for the memory voltage, not VCCIO. VCCIO, your maximum is 1.4 volts. As the same goes for VCCSA. I'm feeling confident. You know, the 3.3 volt rail on your power supply like exists because in the far past, like, that was 3.3 volts was like normal CPU operating voltage. Damn, I might have actually figured out how to clock this RAM properly. I'm really tempted to go even higher at this point. You know what? No, let's go into Windows and try a run. Try a run. Hopefully, I don't know if the like airflow. Yeah, I mean, voltage controllers voltage controllers run on 3.3 volts or 5 volts. A lot of the sort of, yeah, a lot of the less power hungry stuff is still done on 3.3 or 5 volts. So, yeah. Anyway, I can't actually believe I finally got 4214 working. That's crazy. Look at those freaking memory settings. Look at them while I shake them. It makes me happy. Okay, let's get tricks open. Hopefully this actually helps the heaven scores. Yep, sure. I'm pretty sure all those GPUs can do that. Wait, I wonder if the 3840 Core Fury is actually running 3840. Oh no, it's 3776 right now. Oh well. Whatever. Not a huge deal. Ugh. No, yeah, we did pick up it looks like we picked up a few FPS from the memory overclock. As well as the GPU clock, so. 400 FPS in heaven. It's like there's legacy benchmarks that don't put down this much FPS. Why on earth would you get the 18-core i9? Like, seriously, I don't get that CPU. It's like, as an extreme overclocker, the attractive things about X299 are the Kaby Lake X CPU, because it's basically this but even faster. And then there's the... I mean, there is the 10 core in all of those, but it's like those are just so expensive I wouldn't touch them. I mean, like... Well, actually, no. The 10 core I'd say is like acceptable in terms of price point, not really in terms of feature set. Like, there's not enough cores and stuff. But it really depends on how Threadripper shapes out to be on liquid nitrogen, and Ryzen on liquid nitrogen has a lot of problems. But apparently AMD was fixing a lot of Uncore related stuff on the new B2 revision silicon. So maybe the PCIe will now be a bit more robust. That's what I'm hoping for, because Ryzen PCIe on liquid nitrogen just stops working below -50, pretty much. Well, it doesn't even stop working so much as it just starts throwing lots and lots of errors. So, yeah. The thing about Kaby Lake X is, like, I don't know if you can actually 4-way on it, because you can technically 4-way on Kaby Lake. And there are motherboards, there's even motherboards with PLX chips for Kaby Lake. But I'm not sure if there's going to be a Kaby Lake X PLX chipped X299 board, which would be, like, perfect for this, because Unigine Heaven is a CPU, like a single-threaded CPU hog, but it needs the lanes for the GPUs, so this is a painful benchmark. Yeah, you know, that's what happens when you have, like, all the fans on all the cards maxed out. Holy crap, 550 FPS. This is pulling 800 watts right now at this point. This thing is so freaking... I really hope it breaks 8K at this point. That would be, like, seriously cool. I don't think it'll actually do it because, like, I still think I'd need at least, like, 5.5 gigahertz core clock to break 8,000 points, but it should, yeah.